Chapter 1. Today was gray. Not the burdening, cinematic kind of gray, just the cheap, unremarkable kind that smelled like damp concrete and early spring. Outside the classroom window, lazy clouds drifted across the sky, completely suffocating the weak sun. A light drizzle was falling, the kind my grandma used to enthusiastically call a mushroom rain, short and annoyingly subtle. I stared through the fogged glass, desperately wishing for something, literally anything, to shake up my predictable life. Inside the small two-story school, math class was finally coming to an end. The room buzzed with that brain-dead Friday vibe. Half of the students in the back row were already hovering on the edge of sleep, lured in by the cozy realm of absolute boredom. I, unfortunately, was awake, which meant I had to listen to Miss Petrova going on about an upcoming math Olympiad. "Max, you should sign up," Miss Petrova said, as her eyes locked in on me with terrifying accuracy. "You'd make the school proud." Great, I thought. Looks like I'm stuck playing the hero again. I was a decent student, mostly because maintaining good grades kept people off my back, and math was the one subject where my brain actually felt at ease. I was the usual sacrifice for these extracurricular events, but nobody cared that I was completely fed up with it. If I didn't go, no one else would step up. I looked around at the blank, indifferent faces of my classmates. Couldn't they show even a tiny bit of support instead of acting like cold, emotionless rocks? I didn't get it, and I probably never would. Then again, I was used to cold, emotionless rocks because I lived with them. My family wasn't poor, we were actually pretty well off. I could ask for money or anything material without an issue, but emotional warmth? I had a better chance of getting a hug from the refrigerator. Most days, everyone in the apartment sat in their own separate rooms with blank faces, only ever crossing paths at dinner. It hadn't always been like that, though. I had vague memories of family trips to beautiful places around the world, but nothing had changed since then, except for the total absence of heart. The rot started when I was 10, when my dad just burned out. Suddenly, the world stopped mattering to him. He would come home from work, glue himself to the TV, and simply tune out everything else. His health, his diet, his entire way of life. All the household burdens fell on my mom, Lissa. At first, she tried to fight the gloom. She threw impromptu parties, brought him breakfast in bed, and showered him with affection, desperately trying to fire up the family spark. But it didn't work. And honestly, the descent into my teenage years didn't help her case. After a year and a half of constant bickering, her cheerful spark died and she turned into the exact same cold stone as my father. Being naturally closed off anyway, I withdrew even further into myself, never getting the parental care I needed. Now, I felt like I was living with ghosts. I had tried to fit in elsewhere once. In 8th grade, I had a massive crush on a bright girl named Azra. It turned out she only talked to me so she could copy my homework. The sting of that betrayal lingered deep in my soul, and any other brief sparks of connection ended the same way, with me feeling like a toy, used and tossed aside. It was no surprise that you could count my real friends on one hand and still have fingers left over. Mostly, it was just Artem. He was a classmate who had my back since the first grade. always defending me, even when I was in the wrong. Our friendship really locked in during third grade, when I saved him from getting punished because a girl had run to the teacher with a fake story. As for the rest of my classmates, I got along fine, but a couple of petty classroom dramas had taught me to steer clear of them for good. I snapped out of my thoughts and glanced down at my open notebook. Right in the middle of my neatly arranged equations, there was a mark, a spiral, almost glowing under the harsh lights of the classroom. I blinked hard, and it was gone. Weird, I thought, rubbing my eyes. I must be losing my mind from boredom. But the mark felt so familiar, like something pulled from a half-forgotten dream. Artem had once told me these bizarre stories about our city. Whispers of odd lights or people vanishing near the river. I had laughed them off back then, but now I caught myself giving a slight shrug of my shoulders, wondering if he was onto something. Miss Petrova finally finished assigning homework and dismissed us 5 minutes early. I started packing my bag with precision of a perfectionist dream. First, the notebooks, then my worn pencil case, the faded eyes of the monster on it seeming to smirk at me like it was alive. Then my headphones. Finally, my phone. Its matte black screen reflected the classroom lights. "Well, buddy, now your turn," I muttered to the device. "Just for a bit, I promise. 20 minutes and we're back together. Just hang in there." I walked out into the empty school hallways. I actually loved the calm, slightly mysterious vibe of the building this late after the 8th class. No shrieking kids, no troublemakers barreling through the corridors. I passed the empty winter garden on the first floor, ignoring the exotic tropical plants stretching towards the ceiling like they were reaching for freedom. I stopped by the front desk before leaving. "Hello," I said. "Hey, sweetie, you're the last one today, or is someone else still up there?" Aunt Valentina asked. "No, Aunt Valentina, I'm the last. Here's the key," I replied. "It is what it is. Not my fault I'm on duty today, and as usual everyone else forgets the word help, so I manage on my own." "Thank you, sweetie. Heading out this late again?" she asked, wishing me a good evening. I thanked her and stepped outside into the evening. The drizzle had finally stopped, leaving the air cool and incredibly fresh. In the distance, I could hear the river's roar echoing. Then I felt it again, a strange, invisible tug, exactly like the glowing spiral in my notebook calling out to me. I shoved my hands deep into my jacket pockets. My fingers brushed against something small, sharp, and cold. I pulled it out. It was a coin, heavily etched with a spiral. And where the hell did this come from? I thought. It looked exactly like an old necklace my mom used to wear, back before everything in our house went completely numb. Since Artem had been sick for the last couple of days, I had the pleasure of doing the commute entirely on my own. I tightened my grip on the bizarre coin and started the short walk towards the metro station, totally unaware that my predictable life was about to expire.